हरि बोल, नित्य गौर हरि बोल। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंसा परिव्राचार्य असुर रसत श्री श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस अभय चंद्रविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की, इस्कॉन फाउंडर आचार्य श्रील प्रभुपाद की, आनंद कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की, नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधारा श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद की, श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की, वृंदावन धाम की, मथुरा धाम की, नवदीप धाम की, श्री जगन्नाथ स्वामी की, यमुना माई की, श्रीमती तुलसी देवी की, सामवेद भक्त वृंद की, निताई गौर प्रेमानंदी। All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutala Srimati Bir Krishna Goswami Niti Namne Namo Ham Sadhika Shri Prabhupada Priyate Srudita Shri Nishtapita Vakya Nuvadine. Good morning and Hare Krishna to everyone. Welcome to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class at Sri Radha Gopinath Temple, brought to you live on Mayapur channel. So welcome to our viewers who are viewing us on the Mayapur TV on Sydney channel and ISKCON Sydney YouTube as well as Facebook. This morning we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 9, titled Dhruva Maharaj Returns Home, and we are reading from text 67. Yes. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devam Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nasta Prayashu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Okay. Atmanam cha pravyasham Atmanam cha pravayasham Akalaya vishampatihi Vanam virakta pratishtad Vimrashanatmanogatim Atmanam cha pravayasham Akalaya vishampatihi Vanam virakta pratishtad Vimrasanatmanogatim Atmanam cha pravayasham Akalaya vishampatihi Vanam virakta pratishtad Vimrishan atmanogatim. Vanam virakta pratishtha Vimrishanatmanogatim. pravayasham akalaya vishampatihi vanam virakta pratishtat vimrisham atmano gatim atmanam cha pravayasham akalaya vishampati vanam virakta pratishtat vimrishan atmano gatim atmanam cha pravayasam akalaya visampati vanam virakta pratishtat vimrishan atmano gatim atmanam cha pravayasham akalaya visampati vanam virakta pratishta vimrisham atmano gatim. Okay, thank you. Atmanam, himself. Cha, also. Pravyasham, advanced in age. Akalya, considering. Vishampatihi, King Utanpada. Vanam, to the forest. Vikrata, detached. Pratishtat, departed. Vimrishan, deliberating on. Atmanaha, of the self. Gatim, salvation. Okay, so the translation of this shlok that we have just read, what it means? It means, after considering his advanced age and deliberating on welfare of his spiritual self, King Utanpada detached himself from worldly affairs and entered the forest. So we can repeat, after considering his advanced age and deliberating on the welfare of his spiritual self, King Uttanpada detached himself from worldly affairs and entered the forest. Okay, so the purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, this is a sign of Raja Shri King Uttanpada, who was very opulent and was emperor of the world, and these attachments were certainly very great. Imagine, he's an emperor of the world and he's leaving it. So modern politicians are not as great as the king like Maharaj Uttanpada, but because they get some political power, for some days they become so much attached to their positions that they never retire unless they are removed from their posts by cruel death or killed by some opposing political party. It is within our experience that the politicians in India, because Prabhupada is talking about India, he's from there, this is not the practice, it is within our experience that politicians in India do not quit their positions until death. This was not the practice in olden days, as it is evident from the behavior of King Uttanpada. Immediately after installing his worthy son, Dhruva Maharaj on the throne, he left his home and palace. There are hundreds and thousands of instances like this in which kings in their mature age would give up their kingdom and go to the forest to practice austerity. So practice of austerity is the main business of human life. As Maharaj Dhruva practiced austerity in his early age, his father Maharaj Uttanpada in his old age also practiced austerity in the forest. In modern days, however, it is not possible to give up one's home and go to the forest to practice austerity. But if people of all ages would take shelter of Krishna consciousness movement, Then practice of simple austerities of no illicit sex, no intoxication, no gambling, and no meat eating, and chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra regularly, 16 rounds. By this practical method, it will be very easy task to get salvation from this material world. Okay, that's a very auspicious shlok today, and we will discuss what Srila Prabhupada says further on this and give an example. And how do you apply this in your life? Because you can't do this with just like King Uttanpada, you can't leave your home and go into the forest. So, very quickly, Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this is a very auspicious shlok for this morning. What Dhruv Maharaj did, he was only a 5-year-old boy and he went into the forest because he had some desires. And what those desires were, he wanted to sit on his father's lap because his stepmother pushed him away. And his birth mother told him, go into the forest, go practice, go and ask Lord Vishnu. That's what he did. Being a Kshatriya, he was very determined. Now, in 6 months only, because he's a 5-year-old boy, he did these austerities. In 6 months, he got the fruit of his desires. He got. How long have you been practicing your austerity? More than 6 months, right? Did you see Lord Krishna? No. But this little boy, he practiced austerity in such a manner that he was able to master his eating, his sleeping, his drinking. He stopped eating, he stopped drinking, he stopped sleeping. He was just in the forest. Then he mastered even breathing. He stopped breathing. And these austerities for a little boy is unknown anywhere. And because he stopped breathing, this was disturbing the universe and the demigods as well. Even the demigods couldn't breathe. So they had to run to Lord Vishnu, said, do something. Go and help this little boy. What does he want? So that's great austerity. We can't do that. Just as an example, this is in our day and age. We can't do that. So this little boy managed to achieve all those things, such short age. But what happened within that 6 months of austerity is what's happening with us right now. We are chanting Hare Krishna, we are coming to the temple, and all our material desires are slowly eroding little by little. We are getting purified. So this little boy, his determination, everything, at such a young age, he was becoming so purified. And he was given this mantra by Narad Muni. What was the mantra? Yes, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And he kept chanting that. Now, if I tell you, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, will it have effect? Not so much. Maybe a little bit, because Lord's name is there, not to my credit. But if someone as great as Narad Muni gives that mantra, oh, look at the effect of that. So the same is with the Gayatri mantras. When we take Brahmin initiation, we could say the Gayatri mantras without taking Brahmin initiation. It's supposed to be a secret. But it will not have any effect. There are many people, I will not name names, but there must be some people who will look up these Brahmin mantras and, try to recite it and say, I'm a Brahmin. It will not have effect unless it's given by a bona fide person. So Narad Muni here gave this mantra to this little boy, and the effect of that was Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna, came himself. And the form in that he came is known as Prishni Garbha, because Prishni was this, she was Devaki in a next life, but and Yashoda Mai, they are manifestations of her. So Prishni and her husband were, forget the name of husband, they were doing these austerities, and they had this feeling of love for God in a parental way. So they said, when they did their austerities, they said, Vishnu appeared to them, they said, oh dear Lord, we want a son like you. So that's Lord Vishnu, and Lord Krishna, so he is known as Prishni Garbha, because what happens is the Lord came in Prishni's womb, Prishni Garbha. So that same form came to Dhruv. And why he came in that form was because he loved Dhruv so much. It's that love, parental and child. And when he came, what happened was, what did Dhruv do as soon as he saw the Lord? You've been reading some of these sloks before, so you will have some idea. Yeah. He got stunned. Yeah, that's what happens when you see the Lord. I'm not sure how you will react, but we'll be really in confusion and stunned. We won't know what to do, what to say. And the little boy didn't even know how to glorify the Lord because he didn't have that much knowledge. He's 5-year-old, and we wouldn't know. If Krishna came, would you be able to say eloquent praise like Lord Brahma did to him? You know, Chintamani, Prakara Sadmusa Kalpa Vriksha. Will we be able to do that? No. I know I won't be able to. So this then Lord Krishna touched his shank, you know, the conch on his head, and he was able to recite all this glorious praise. But this little boy realized, what did he realize? He didn't want his desires. He was like, I am such a fallen condition, so why was I doing all these tough austerities just to, you know, sit on my father's lap? But that was not only his desire. He wanted a planet which was greater than Brahmalok. Lord Brahma is his great-grandfather. See, Lord Brahma had this son, Swayambhuva Manu. Swayambhuva Manu's son was King Uttanpada. And then King Uttanpada's son was Dhruv. So he's Brahma's great-grandson. And this is Swayambhuva Manu is like billions of years away because from now, because it's the first Manu. We are in the 7th Manu. Manu is, he is like the personality who rules this Kali Yuga and Satyug. They are 14. We are in the 7th one, Vaivashvat Manu, right? So this one is Swayambhuva Manu. It goes right back. So our Srimad Bhagavatam here, we're talking billions, 2, 3, 4 billions years ago. So many billions of years ago, and this Srimad Bhagavatam is reciting stories from there. So you can see when somebody says Srimad Bhagavatam is the king of Vedic scriptures, it is. We have other Vedic scriptures, we're not putting them down. But this Srimad Bhagavatam has stories that relates back to not even our Manu, like, you know, billions of years. So Dhruva Maharaj wants a planet better than his grandfather. And he also wants to sit on the throne. And he also wants to sit on his father's lap. So he had all these desires. And Lord Krishna decided to give that to him. Even though Dhruva said, you know, I've been asking for stupid things, material things. I've been looking for pieces of glass. When I've got a precious jewel, most precious jewel, better than a diamond, standing right in front of me. That's what happens if you sincerely pray to the Godhead, or even Srimati Radharani. Yesterday was her appearance day, when people would have prayed to her for her blessings, including me. So I pushed away everybody, you know, standing right in the front of the line because I want Radharani's mercy. I didn't push anybody away, but I pushed anybody who came in front of me. Sorry. But but we want to pray sincerely to the Lord. This temple is small, so it's, that's what happens. So there's no ill feelings towards anyone. It's just the space. And so many devotees of Radharani came yesterday. Wow. And this temple was, echoing with her name, Radhe, Radhe. Everyone was so excited. So when you see her or him, Lord Krishna, and then you'll realize, were these people who were screaming yesterday and I'm standing there, were we thinking of any of our material desires? I want a Porsche. I want a Ferrari. Was I thinking like that? No, I wasn't. Maybe somebody else was, I don't know. But when you see the Lord, you forget your material desires. That's the whole point. You forget everything. And you want only a spiritual life. So that's what happened to Dhruv. Anyway, after, getting his boon, Lord Krishna decided, yes, you are going to have, because you want a planet, I'll give you one. So he got a whole planet, big planet. Dhruvalok, it's known as the pole star. The pole star indicates the northern direction. And that star that he got is beyond the rest of the planets, it doesn't get annihilated. It doesn't get destroyed in Pralay and all those things. It stays permanently. It's actually Vaikunta. And it is in the Milk Ocean, where which manifestation of Lord stays in the Milk Ocean? There's some questions. Shirodaksha, Vishnu, he's there. And he got that. But before he went there, Lord Krishna gave him yet another boon. He said, you wanted to be the king, of the kingdom, so you will rule for 36,000 years. So he got that boon. Now, why would Krishna give up? Usually Krishna doesn't give material desires. But why did he give it to Dhruv? That's the question. Because Dhruv, after doing so much austerities, even stopped breathing for 6 months. He became so pure. He became a pure devotee. And a pure devotee makes a great king. If our kings, prime ministers, presidents, became like Dhruv, of course we'd want them to be king. So Lord Krishna was very practical. He said, yeah, that's a good idea. He's a good guy. He's a good devotee. He'll make a great king. So let him rule for 36,000 years. So he did. And then he went. He went to Polestar, which is like in the Vaikunt. It doesn't have any planets orbiting. It stays there. All the other planets are orbiting around him. Dhruv. Jai Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagavan ki. So this planet, if you ever get lost in sea, the sailors use it because it is in a northern direction. Dhruv is over there, and it stays there, so you are going in the northern direction. And there are no planets orbiting this planet. It's not orbiting other planets. I got it the other way around, sorry. It stays fixed. All the rest of the planets orbit around Dhruv Lok. That's how it is. So then Dhruv goes home, and then he feels a little ashamed when he goes home because he says, oops, I made a mistake. I could have asked for prema, I could have asked for Vaikunta, I could have asked for love of Godhead, bhakti, but I asked for this. So he felt a little ashamed. But then, he adjusted, he got his parents' love, and in that process, because his father, King Uttanpada, was also being unfair. He was favoring the step mother of Dhruv, and he was, not caring about his birth mother. All those things were there. So when he saw his son, even he became purified. That is the effect of austerities. So what's your austerity? What do you do? Sukriti, your 4 eggs. These days everybody says, are you doing 4 eggs? What are eggs? I'm following 4 eggs. 4 regulative principles. No meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling, no illicit sex life. You can have that kind of life with your wife or your husband, obviously, but don't run out without marriage. So these are our austerities. And on top of that, we do what? Jai Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagavan ki Jai. So apart from your 4 eggs, you do 16 rounds chanting. That's our austerities and nothing else. That's all that's needed. Now, in the Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 18.5, so if you want that reference about austerities, Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, you can give up anything, but don't give up your austerity. Austerities is you don't give up these 4 regulative principles that you are following. It's a very important shlok in Bhagavad Gita. And the other austerities, like you have patience, kindness, those things you don't leave. And that will be the way that you will advance in your spiritual life, like Dhruv. You don't need to go to the forest. You don't need to go to the forest. You don't need to do any of those things. You don't need to stop breathing like Dhruv and stop eating. So Bhagavad Gita 18.5, Lord Krishna says, don't give that up. You can give up anything, but don't give that up. So, what is the thing that makes you give up your austerity? What is the thing that makes you give up your austerity? Correct. Desires. What kind of desires? Material desires, correct. If you have material desires, addiction, and for Prabhus or men, they have a general addiction of women, or can be wealth, money. These are your fall downs. As soon as you have addiction to those things, if you have material desires, your austerity goes out the window and up and away. So those are the things that we have to be mindful of and be careful of. Is if you follow the regulative principles, there is no chance that you will deviate. It's our austerities. When I go to work or I meet somebody who's not a devotee and I say, oh, I'm a vegetarian and I don't take garlic and onion and I don't take, meat, fish or eggs, and to them it's like, oh, we can't live without garlic, we can't live without onion, we can't live without our meat. How can you do this? Well, it's an austerity. It's easy once you start doing this. If you have compassion for animals, you will not want to kill them and eat them. They scream. When you kill them, they scream and blood flows, and the blood is exact color of yours. And they have little babies, little chickens, little lambs. And they're so cute, you want to play with them. Why would you want to eat them and have them on your dinner plate? My little niece, well, now she's not little anymore, but when she was little, she loved those stuffed toys, that kids like. So she went to the farm, saw little baby lambs, and they were so cute. And she, being a little baby herself, ran around to hug them. They're so cute. We were in New Zealand at that time. Well, that's where I was. Little baby lambs. And then somebody said to her, her name's Megla. Megla, the lamb you're hugging, that's lamb chops. And suddenly it dawned on her, like just the penny drops. She's been having lamb chops and there's a baby lamb, so cute, she wanted to hug them. She screamed and screamed and screamed because the realization set in. So that's how we should be. Our realization should be there. These are living entities, they're babies, and we love them. And actually animals look towards us for protection. Did you know that? Because they have that understanding and consciousness that this is a more superior life form or living entity than us. They have the capacity to protect us. So a cat will come to your house to eat some food. They always do. They look to humans to protect them. And when they come to humans, what do they get? They get killed and they get eaten. We are the human beings are the biggest disappointment to animals. Biggest. So once we realize those things, then we can follow our 4 regulative principles. We get compassion. What I really wanted to talk about is what Prabhupada did because we live in this world just like Prabhupada has said in his purport. In India, people don't give up their desire to be prime ministers. Like we have one particular, he shall not be named for political reasons, is vying so much to get back into his seat that he has, they are word out that he staged his own assassination, which he missed, and was, had a bandage there, and doctors can't prove that there was anything that happened to his ear, anything substantial. We will not name him, but you know who I'm talking about, is so attached to his seat. He's able to, even before the election, he's getting people out. And then one devotee comes up to me and says, oh, he was saved by Lord Jagannath during his assassination. I laughed. Why would Jagannath try to protect somebody who's into material life and material desires and doing all sorts of... Jagannath won't do that. Oh, but he donated money to Jagannath Rath Yatra. Do you know for sure? Did he? But Do you know that he grabbed ladies right in public, and grabbed in such places we shall not name about a lady? That he did in public. Why would Jagannath protect such a person? I don't think so. But who knows? I'm not authority. However, we are talking about these kings who are attached to their seat, and they want it so much that they get politically killed. So there is one such a king in Prabhupada's time that did get killed, and he was actually, according to Srila Prabhupada, I'm going to read a little bit, because he wrote a letter, and that person, guess who it was? In India, who was a great soul, and lots of people look up to him, even worship him. He gained India's independence. Who's that? Mahatma Gandhi. Yeah, he was around. So this is Prabhupada's words. He said, I wrote a personal letter to Gandhi that Mahatma Gandhi, you are recognized all over the world as a very pious man. Pious man. Pious means you do good things as opposed to doing bad things. You are a very pious man, and you are supposed to be a devotee of the Bhagavad Gita. So he wrote that, and that was my request. He said, I request you to take the teachings of Bhagavad Gita to preach all over the world. So Mahatma Gandhi did his job. He was meant to get India back its freedom, which he did. But because he was so well respected, he had a big name. Srila Prabhupada wrote a letter saying, use your name to read the Bhagavad Gita and preach all over the world. Imagine how much effect that would have been if he had done it. It would have been a very different world today if he had. And he wrote this letter. Actually, there was a letter 6 months ago, and there was a letter, about 5 months ago, and then there was one month. And in that he had said, like hints. There was hints that he dropped to Mahatma Gandhi that, preach. And if you don't do that, then what he wrote in this purport, political parties, kill the king to remove him, or they meet some kind of death. So he had dropped hints. And Mahatma Gandhi didn't listen. So although he used to attend all these prayers, and because he had been attending these prayers, at the time of his death, he called who? Who knows the story? When Mahatma Gandhi was assassinated, somebody shot him. Before he died, what were his last words? Hey Ram, correct. So he did call Ram. So he was a pious man, and he had the ability to preach all over the world. So if any of you reach that stage, you're sitting here today, but maybe, who knows, if you make a name for yourself in the world, what should you do? Preach. Yeah, use your name. Even if you don't have a name, even if you're a devotee, use that for Krishna and preach. At least you'll be saving some animal lives, because you might make people vegetarian. So you won't just save that person, you will save the lives of other animals. And the animals, whoever gets saved will bless you. Even though there's so many animals being killed. This was not meant to be a class for that, but it sort of came up, because animals are important. So he actually said, that was my request, because I was thinking of preaching this Bhagavad Gita, so I thought Gandhi's position is better. Prabhupada is saying Gandhi's position is better than mine. If he takes up this job, preaching Bhagavad Gita, many people will give attention. He is a recognized good man, so people will follow. But he did not do so. He stuck up to the politics, and unless he was killed by another opponent party, he did not give it up. So this is what we mean attachment or addiction to whatever material desire you have. Your austerities go out of the window. Even Jawaharlal Nehru, they would not give up. They were so weak, I have seen. So Prabhupada actually had associations with political people as well. He could not stand even. He was doing like this always. Still, he would not give up. So, he says, this is not Vedic civilization. Vedic civilization, in that at certain age you must retire. Never mind. The age is divided into 4 parts. Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprast, Sannyasa. It's meant for boys, but for girls too. You are a brahmacharini, and then you are into grihastha life, and then vanaprastha means like you remove yourself from your husband and your children in a way that you practice bhakti. You don't take sannyas, but you come up to that stage where you are attached to God. So these are for boys and girls. And Krishna doesn't make distinction. Did you know that? Krishna does not make any distinction whether you're a boy or a girl. Look at me. He will make sure that you reach a certain age, and then you will leave this and leave that and leave that. Depends on how sincerely you follow. So I don't want to take my example, but it just happens. All the devotees, they go through certain stages, and depends on how sincerely they practice their austerities, the 4 rags, regulative principles. But in my case, I was always focused on pleasing my spiritual master. Because what happens is, if anything goes wrong, then it reflects on your spiritual master. They'll say, oh, who's the disciple of? Does his spiritual master know what they're doing? That's the first thing they'll say. And it's going on right now with me too. I have unfortunately born in a demonic family who's after my inheritance. So writing very bad letters, even to the temple, I think my mother must have come, because they want money, to the point that they might say blasphemous things to my Guru Maharaj too. Because my Guru Maharaj will not support these things in any way. This is personal matter. It's spiritual things Guru Maharaj is interested in. So these kind of things happen. And certainly detachments and attachments fade. It happens to everyone. So we have to understand that this is material life, and these are material things, and they will not help anyone. They'll get attached, and the cycle of birth, death will continue. Stealing from a devotee is really bad. Did you know? So when you collect funds for donations, make sure that you apply to Krishna. Don't take it and build your own house. It's a very, very dangerous situation. Like for example, these politicians, they are in the this seat, and they know it's temporary. So they make as much money as possible they can. And they take from the citizens. It can also happen in spiritual conditions. We take donations and then we misuse it. I'm not saying we are doing it in the temple, on this temple. Please don't get me wrong. But there are many bogus people in India and everywhere in the world who, in the name of God, take money, and then they let them down by using the money on something else. And there's a story, Krishna Sudama. Sudama was Lord Krishna's friend. There were little brahmacharis running around and learning, all kinds of Vedic stuff. They were in school. And Sudama, there was a storm, and they were spending the night in the tree because floods were happening, I think, so in the rain. And Sudama happened to have the package in a little potli, they call it, but little bag of some chapped rice for their meal, for the snack. And they're both hungry, and Sudama was hungry, but Krishna was on the other tree. So Sudama ate all of it, didn't share it with Krishna. So in other words, if we do that, we take somebody's money or we take somebody's possession and take it for ourselves, what's going to happen? Well, Sudama, when he grew up, he became very poor, and his kids were starving, and his wife was starving, and they were in poverty to the highest degree. And so what's going to happen, this is a true story, by the way. It happened in Lord Krishna's pastimes. So these are certain things we are addicted to, attached to, that our austerities fly out the window. The reason that we came to Krishna in the first place is forgotten. The reason this politician is sitting in the chair is forgotten. He's taking money from citizens and making as much money as possible. He was there to protect the citizens and protect the country until he gets killed by another political party. So this is our austerity. Follow the four eggs and be honest. And don't become like Sudama and go into poverty. Well, for us, it will be like birth after birth, we'll be in poverty. We won't go back to Godhead. It depends on how much money you've taken from people. So, then of course, Sudama being Krishna's, very close to Krishna, he was Krishna's friend. So he got that boon his wife, he had a good wife, thank God, who sent him, go to Krishna and ask him for help. And because they were poor, they didn't have any money, what would they give to Krishna? So she begged from the neighbors some rice and made it and said, you go and give this to Krishna. So when Sudama went to Krishna's palace, so Krishna being a perfect king at that time, he welcomed his friend, washed his feet. There are pictures sometimes you see Krishna washing the feet of a sadhu Brahman. That was his friend Sudama. Then Sudama was feeling ashamed what to give Krishna. He was feeling very ashamed. He had nothing. Krishna was in opulence. What do you give to a person who has everything? You're kind of in a dilemma. What do you give to the temple? They've got everything. You give flowers, you give milk, you give ghee, you get food stuff, you give donations if they're going to build a temple. You give something. So Sudama was hiding the rice that his wife had given. And Krishna spotted it and he grabbed it. This is for me. And he ate it. With every bite he took, Sudama's poverty reduced and money came and like wealth. And he was about to take the last lot when Rukmini, who happens to be Mahalakshmi, Lakshmi Devi, incarnated as Rukmini, his wife, took the last one, last lot. Because if he had given that last bit of rice and eaten it himself, then even Mahalakshmi would have been surrendered to Sudama. So she saved herself, but also she saved, the wealth a little bit for the rest of the living entities, not just all go to Sudama. So if we have taken from Krishna, we have to return it to him. There's a really nice story which I really want to will tell you. My own personal experience it is, but it is very nice. It's the beginning of when I was like a neophyte, learning about Krishna conscious. I was thinking I'll go to the temple and, I can't go to the temple all the time. I was in New Zealand and I was in South Auckland and the temple is, that's right. And Western Auckland somewhere else. It's a long drive, and I was a student in uni, and I didn't want to go all the time to the temple. So I thought, let me take a stone from Krishna's garden, a little pebble. They look very nice, smooth, white bells. Pebble, stone. I'll take it, and I'll keep it in my house, and I'll think that I've gone to the temple. Whenever I'm feeling like can't go to the temple, I'll look at the stone. Guess what? I had a dream. Krishna must have been calling me at that time. Little boy Krishna, running around playing, and he's looking everywhere. His mother picked him up, and he wouldn't even look at his mother. He's looking down. He wouldn't. He's looking down, looking on the floor, ground, looking for something in my dream. And then I see him coming from somewhere, like he's been crawling under the bushes, all this dust and leaves and things in his curly black hair. He's looking for something. What was he looking for? There's so many stones. Let's take a look at our garden. How many stones are there? Who would miss one little stone? That was my thinking. So when I woke up, I thought, oh my God, he's looking for a stone. So then I went and picked up the stone and I went and returned it to the temple, the same place where I got it. So if you imagine Krishna looks for a stone that's so important, what are you? You are just as important as the stone. If he can feel so much about a little stone, how much can he feel for you? You might think you are one little insignificant soul, in this whole entire creation of universe. No. He's there in your heart. So there was a lesson that I learned. I have to go to the temple. No excuses. And never take even a stone from Krishna or any other devotee. And always follow your, sadhana, bhakti, follow your guru. And, you can become like Dhruv. You might not get a pole star, but you certainly will get entrance to the pole star, Vaikunta. So, with that note, I leave you. Any comments or questions? No? Okay, thank you very much for listening. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam Puran ki jai.